just got the alert.
Okay.
Okay, I'm opening YouTube on my phone. It looks like we are live. I just got the alert. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, are we all set?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, Steve, is there some way you can control a volume, get more volume in that system?
Give it a shot. Yeah.
Are you having trouble hearing me, Wayne?
Yes.
Okay, I can talk louder too.
Try moving the screen a little closer.
Okay. Okay, so we called it to order. We called the roll call. We moved the meeting, and now we'll reconvene the meeting. And item C will be approval of the minutes from our meeting in January.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second,
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Torkelson and a second by Commissioner Frank. If there are no changes or adjustments to the minutes, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Then we will go to item D. 2A and 2B. And
Thanks,
I
Mayor.
will turn it over to staff.
Okay, thank you. Just gonna get this screen share. Mayor, before we begin, there was a request from one of our applicants, item number 8, Attorney Randall, requesting deference on number 8.
I just am reading that now. Okay, go on, go ahead. Or Steve, you want to take that up right away?
Sure. Should we take item 8? Yeah, we take item 8 out of order. That's the wish of the Plan Commission.
That's fine with me.
Okay, let me just get to that portion of our agenda here. Has everyone seen the screen?
Yes.
Thanks for everyone's patience this time. So item 8, Attorney Randall is here this evening representing the owner, the Higgins property, which is at 6604 through 20 West Mitchell Street. This is a property that's business that's been around since for the past 50 years. They started in 1970s, early 70s, and the property is zoned industrial, light industrial. And the proposal before us is to that it was sponsored by an older person, is to bring consideration to rezoning this property in alignment with the city's comprehensive land use plan, which would in this case be, instead of an industrial I1 zone property, rezoned to a C3 zoning, which is a community commercial district. And these are just some views of the property. In the adjacent area to the north and west of the property is the Sona Lofts and Makers Row property. Sona Lofts, an apartment 110 unit apartment complex. And north of that is the West apartment complex. And then Makers Row development is a series of commercial shops and restaurants that would be located just to the north of the Higgins property. The Higgins property is light industrial. It functions in that manner. And as it has for the past 50 years, just some context shots around the area here. This is the zoning map. The existing zoning map has C3 zoning to the north and to the west of the property. There's other residential and commercial to the east. There's light industrial to the south and other light industrial further west. And to the north is also commercial. So the city, with respect to its comprehensive plan, wants to recommend approval of rezoning this property from industrial to commercial. And again, sort of in alignment with our comprehensive plan, as well as the neighborhood around it. There's been some concern, I think, from the property owner, Mr. Mark and Higgins, his business partners, with respect to the future use and enjoyment of their property as an industrial use. And from the zoning perspective, even if rezoned, the property still could continue as it has for the past 50 years as a light industrial use, even if rezoned to C3. And if the owner were to sell the property, perhaps someday retire or sell the property down the road, even if rezoned, the property would still have a value, practical value from a zoning perspective for other uses within the C3 district. Some of those which are actually light industrial in nature, such as advanced manufacturing, commercial light industrial flex, so on. So again, the concern here is that if we do nothing, I mean, Higgins continues to run its business the way it always has, and that's not a problem. It's a longstanding good business for the city. But the concern is, the uncertainty of the future. If sold to another entity and not rezoned, we're going to be hard pressed. We're going to be in a position where we may not like the future use of the property. And I'm not saying Mr. Higgins would ever put us in that situation, but it's a proactive measure from the planning and zoning perspective to help safeguard against undesirable and incompatible uses for this neighborhood. We see this as a future and emerging mixed-use neighborhood development. The city's put in a lot of investment into this property over the past 20 years, and we're starting to see quite a synergy of new uses and exciting uses around the farmers market, 6 Points area. And we really want, I guess that's the future that we see, and I would like to strive for. Higgins can certainly be a part of that, even if recently. Just have a couple of slides here. The surrounding uses, again, we talked about residential to the north and west, to the east. South of that, there are light industrial uses. Further west, there's light industrial. But the overwhelming redevelopment area on this block is a commercial zoning, as seen in the previous slide. Higgins is definitely planning improvements to the property. There is a land swap that's going to take place between the CDA, Community Development Authority, and the Higgins property, where they would realize some additional land area to the west of their property. Higgins last year in April came before the Planning Commission and received approval for site and landscaping improvements and a new door on the west side of their building to give them better access in and out of their facility. Their business is doing very well, so they need that accessibility. The areas around it are all zoned commercial, C3, to the north and to the west. The Higgins property is zoned light industrial. Our comp plan is a guidance, which is a guidance type of measure, a planning tool. The land use for this area recommends mixed use. Again, sort of a mix of commercial, residential types of uses, all of which would be supported by the commercial C3 zoning district. And let me just move the thumbnail photos out of the way here, but this is just a partial glimpse of the future. I mean, the what's underway right now under construction are the lofts, Mandel Lofts on south of National Avenue here. And then Makers Row development would commence next up on the corner of 66th and National, and then other infill commercial development south of that. This is surface parking, and then there's a lot 4 along Mitchell Street, which could be repurposed for commercial, multifamily, mixed use as well. And we see Higgins being could certainly be part of all that with their existing use. But our concern is the future. Once again, that the uncertainty of what if Higgins were to leave and they market and sell it for a light industrial use. It may be compatible, it may not be. So we're just really looking at this as a proactive measure for the future, safeguard against, an array of undesirable, incompatible uses with the redevelopment area. This is the comp plan, the land use plan for the area. The Higgins property is located right here. This is the mixed use land use designation, like the rest of the block. And this is just a partial glimpse of the site plan that was approved by the planning commission last April. Just making pavement improvements, some drastic, significant nice improvements for the property, including landscaping, upgrading the pavement of the site, putting in a new fence, additional landscaping along and access along the west side of the property, a new doorway with overhang on the west elevation. So just some of the points. So with that, if there's any questions or further discussion, I mean, we have Attorney Randall here, which is representing the ownership, and I know he would like to say some words. With that, Mayor, I turn it back to you to delegate.
Mr. Mayor, a question for Steve.
Steve, yeah, Wayne, go ahead.
Thank you. Steve, have the improvements that you approved last year, have they begun?
Not yet. There's still, Brian can probably answer this a little bit better, but they haven't begun yet. There's still that condition of getting that land swap between the CDA and Higgins to bring over an additional, I forget how many feet of land to attach to the west side of the Higgins property. And with that, then would
So the
commence.
item is with our law department.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Randall, would you want to speak for a minute or two?
I would. Can you hear me from back here?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the Plan Commission, I'm Attorney Brian Randall of Amundsen Davis, 111 East Kilbourne Avenue in Milwaukee, here representing Higgins, the property owner. I'll be very honest, I will have two sets of comments. The first is a simple request to defer this item. I'm recognizing that I've kind of jumped the line here with other agenda items, but the request to defer is because Higgins just found out about this yesterday when staff called us to let us know we were on the agenda. To the Plan Commissioner's question about all the other things we've been working on, this is not something that Higgins initiated. It's not something that we were prepared for. And so certainly to address the merits, I'm happy to stand down if the Plan Commission would defer. I can authorize with my client the commitment that we will not sell the property, change our use until such time as it may come back. Maybe the parties will reach a meeting of the minds. I don't know. We just haven't had sufficient time to evaluate this and to confer with staff other than one Zoom call today and showing up here on a snowy night. So I will cut myself short and not speak to the objections that we have if it's acceptable to the Plan Commission to defer, but recognizing that you may want to further your discussion after hearing the full staff report, then I would like to speak to a number of these items on the merits itself.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to hear the objections.
So, okay, does anybody else on the commission have feelings on hearing the item versus deferring it for a month, I believe it was?
I'd kind of like to hear the objections too. I mean, I have some questions even before then, so.
Okay,
I'm in agreement with Wayne as well too. And I'd like to
sorry,
hear
Jessica, what was that?
I'm in agreement with Wayne and Brian. I would like to hear the objections as well too.
Okay. Does anybody feel otherwise?
I mean, I would be of the position of deferring if they've only had a day to address this. I don't know that the objections are going to be that well grounded. I mean, obviously he can speak on it, but I'm of the opinion that I have no issue putting this off for a month and giving them more time to evaluate and address.
I would agree with David.
Okay, I'm seeing a 3-2.
Yep, yes, I would also agree with David.
I'm just scrolling so I don't make sure I don't miss any commissioners. Looks like it's Steve, if I'm doing my math properly, it's a 3-3 right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion or questions? I guess it's on me to break the tie, huh? I will go along with the deferment for a month. I would like to just have Attorney Randall reiterate the fact that there will not be any changes from Higgins in that month. I think that was one of his main points, was that they're not going anywhere anytime soon, and they definitely won't be going anywhere in a month, if that's appropriately stated.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Okay, and then Steve, am I missing anything on that?
No, I mean, it's within the, Plan Commission's ability to defer it.
Okay. So then I will say that it's a 4-3 to defer it until our March meeting. And then we can take it up then when it's going to be 62 degrees and sunny out.
Very good.
We hope. Yeah.
Do you need a motion as such?
Well, I probably should have a formal motion. Yeah.
Before I make a motion, Steve, does staff have any, is there any issues that with deferring it? Are they correct that they were just notified yesterday, or?
Well, I mean, we let them know that we had it on the Planning Commission agenda, but I would say that this was on the table, rezoning, I think was on the table for at least a year, if not longer. We had talked about it previously. I'm not going to say we had any kind of agreement that this was going to be rezoned, but it was definitely discussed prior. That someday we'd like to rezone this property. And with recent phone call we received about the possible someone taking a look at the broker calling around, looking at the possibility of what would the property be worth? Could a landscaper go there? That concerned us. So I guess that sort of pushed us to move a little faster and bring this to a little bit more of a priority before the Plan Commission, and then at least get it before the Common Council for discussion, a public hearing, and so on. The council could still always hold this or reject it or approve it. I mean, they can, they're going to be the ultimate final decision in this matter. So, Plan Commission's role in this point is really just to take a look at, is the land use of this property, the future land use plan for the site is mixed use, the surrounding area, everything north of Mitchell, west of 66th Street over to 68th and up to National is all land use categorized as C3. Nearby properties adjacent and abutting this property are zone C3. Is there anything wrong with going to C3? So Plan Commission's role is really, does rezoning this property fit the comprehensive plan? Is it in the best interest of the city, the future land use decision of the city? And then whatever decision Plan Commission makes, whether it's deferral or approval or whatever, I mean, it's that decision that is then passed forward before Common Council for a public hearing, which would take place on March 7th. But I mean, so that public hearing has been scheduled. And I would say it could still potentially be, that hearing could still take place and or will still take place unless it's canceled. So council could still act on it. I'm not sure if they will. They may not. If the Plan Commission hasn't acted, but we'll see on March 7th.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yeah.
The council could not act on it on March 7th if the Plan Commission does not refer it on. If it holds, the council would not act on it. And to my knowledge, my client hasn't received the public hearing notice for that, which would be legally required. So it can be paused for 1 month. You have our representation that the property is not for sale and will not be sold or change of use. There have been some business valuation issues for private reasons going on, and so maybe that's why an inquiry came in about what it can be used for or the value. But last night at 5:01 is when my client, the owner, first heard about the rezoning on the agenda. With all due respect, the comprehensive plan is over 200 pages. I started slugging through it today, but for the plan commission to make a recommendation today based on the comprehensive plan, we really respectfully request the opportunity to review the comprehensive plan in its 200 pages, determine if we find it's consistent or not consistent going in this direction, which is a legal requirement of Wisconsin law, and then have the opportunity to be heard. That's all that we're asking, with a little more than 24 hours notice. And again, I've talked way more than I intended to. I was hoping that upon the representation that no change would be made, we could get to these other agenda items for you, but happy to speak to the legal objections and the dialogue that we've had with staff, and really probably we're surprised to be here, but that we think we can continue working with staff to work things out.
Thank you. So Commissioner Rashka, did you have the interest in making a motion or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm torn because I do feel like, if I understand staff's point and we do want to, we do want to look at the rezoning on this, but I also, I mean, the property owner has to have some rights here, and I think to give them time to properly respond, as long as we've got their commitment that nothing's going to happen in the next month. I think I'd make a motion to table this until the next plan commission meeting and address it at that point.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
Second by, I think Commissioner Manka beat you by a hair there, Eric.
That happens.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, I guess we'll just do a roll call on this to have it clear.
Okay. Wayne Clark.
Nay.
Jessica Katzmeyer.
Hey,
Dave Barashka.
Aye.
Eric Torkelson.
Aye.
Brian Frank.
Nay.
Rossi Manka.
Aye.
Okay, we have a tie, 3-3.
So then Chair will vote aye.
Or that's
I think I heard 4 nays.
I have 3. Wayne, you said nay.
Wayne, Jessica, and Brian voted
Yeah.
no, and David, Rossi, Eric, and I voted aye.
Did I skip Eric?
No. I don't think so. I wrote him down, but maybe that's because I knew how he was going to vote. Did you vote, Eric?
Yes, I did. I voted aye.
Okay. So then the motion to defer carries.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go back. Now we can go back to our agenda in order and take up items 2A and 2B.
Bear with me.
Sure.
Okay, is anyone here from Dunham Auto Sales? Mayor, shall we move on to, do we have anyone online from Dunham Auto Sales? We can come back to this if that's the wish of the planning commission.
Yeah, if not, I think it'd be prudent to just get the people that are present in the audience out of here so they can get home.
Got it.
So let's go to item 3A and 3B. Fire cycle.
Fire cycle? Oh, hi, I'm David. Hi, David. How are you? Good, thanks for coming tonight. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So this is a conditional use permit for Fire Cycle Fitness. It is a proposed spin and yoga studio in the vacant retail space at Element 84. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then as needed for special events and classes. So the zoning of this property is currently C3, and the use of this property proposes instruction training 16 or more persons at one time. This is what is triggering the conditional use permit requirement. And there's this common council public hearing scheduled for March 7th. Because of this is just an interior project, the design guidelines are not used because it's just a limited scope. So this is the site plan. You can see it's on the western side and southern building of element 84. This is right along 84th Street right here. There are no changes to the site. This is the floor plan that was submitted by the applicant. As you can see, there's a yoga room, spin room. It's a yoga room. There's a spin room. There's also an office on site too, along with 2 bathrooms. Additionally, there's a storage area and reception and waiting area, and there is a changing area as well. We are requiring the applicant to submit further detailed plans for, this is a requirement for building permits, for building inspection and inspected. So that's just a requirement of this project. Staff had no concerns with the overall project, and we're recommending a motion for approval with the conditions of common council approving the conditional use permit, and then a new address assignment being requested in the code enforcement department along with that floor plan. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this is straightforward. I will approve it.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Does anybody on the commission have questions? Hopefully nobody's talking on mute. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
I just want to, Patrick.
Yeah. Go ahead,
David
Patrick.
is a new resident of West Dallas, and he's opening his first business here in West Dallas, so very exciting to have him here tonight. Unfortunately, he's
Thank
from LA, so he's not really used to this type of weather.
Yeah. We'll make sure he gets extra time to drive home.
Yes. Coming in, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Good city.
Thank you, Dale. Good.
Have a good evening.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience from item 4?
Mayor, item 4 is the applicant has requested to table or hold this item till next month.
Thank you. Somebody want to make that motion, or we just do it?
We can just hold it. Yeah, I don't think we need
Okay.
a motion.
Sounds good. Anybody from item 5?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let's take up item 5 then.
Okay. Item 5 is a existing self-storage facility at 111th and Lapham Street. It's been self-storage for decades. The property is zoned C3, which is community commercial. Now, while self-storage is no longer a permitted use within that zoning district, it is considered a legacy legal non-conforming use, and therefore, as long as they're making an expansion within the existing property boundaries, that's totally legal. And the addition that they're proposing is the purpose for I'm here today, Plan Commission. The addition that's proposed is here on the just east of an existing storage building. Lapham Street is on the south. Greenfield Avenue is on the top of the screen, and then Highway 100 is just off the right-hand side of the screen. Across the street from this facility, you have Quick Trip is the gas station, and then to the north, this is it's an old aerial view, but this was an old pick and save, vacant pick and save for many years. And more recently, Festival Foods has moved into this location and, upgraded the building and freshened up the new look. So as back to Storage Rentals of America, they are proposing an addition on the east side of an existing storage building. There will be direct access into the building via doors on the east side of the building. And then also, they're not making any site and landscaping or landscaping changes to the property. Property is already well landscaped around the perimeter exterior of the site, which features a masonry wall, which consists of more or less the backsides of buildings, which also function as a wall. And then there's landscaped front yard facing Lapham Street. And then other areas are fenced and secure around the rest of the property. Now there is, I did show the, I guess the Lapham Street frontage immediately to the south, but to the north, to the very north is Greenfield Avenue. And if you look south from Greenfield Avenue, you look across the Festival Foods parking lot. And so this new building will be visible both from Lapham Street and from Greenfield Avenue. So staff has, I guess, taken care and worked with, you know, the architect and design team and ownership on the look of the building. We've gone through a few different iterations, and I think we've landed on one that I would believe the Plan Commission would appreciate. But basically consisting of the addition of some windows in the exterior of the building facing Lapham Street, as well as Greenfield Avenue. And we've attempted to get well, there's actually only, we always advocate for 4-sided architecture. There's actually only 3 sides in this case that are facing, you know, exterior space. So in this case, they've wrapped and the exterior of the building with a similar brick band of veneer around the base, and then a metal panel above that with a stripe that sort of syncs the existing building, which is over here, with the new building here. And the existing building would be repainted from the existing brown split face masonry block, which I believe is painted now, to a lighter off-white color. It's going to consist of a flat metal panel, off-white color of aluminum siding, and then the red band around that. This is facing Greenfield Avenue. So if you're looking across the Festival Foods parking lot, you would see this on the north side of the building. There's certainly, there's going to be a wall, a brick veneer base, which is most likely going to be hidden below the existing perimeter wall. But above that, you would see the red stripe, you would see the windows, and then the variation in roof line on the new addition. This is where we started out a couple months ago. This was the look facing Greenfield Avenue. And then there were some changes made about a month later, and then what we're presenting tonight to the Planning Commission. So it's, you know, the value of, you know, design review, architectural review can be realized, I guess, just in working with their design team and the city's design review guidelines to add a little bit more value and curb appeal to an otherwise very basic looking metal building. Same goes for the south elevation facing Lapham. It's where we started out. And then just the sort of different design iterations until where we're at now. This is the existing building here on the left. And then the new building starts here at this line, this vertical line, the east. So again, brick veneer, window added, then a varied roof line. Staff, in our recommendation, we're recommending perhaps an additional window on the south elevation. This is just my hack job in PowerPoint, but I mean, this is what it could look like. It could align with one of the interior corridors, but we're just looking to sort of break up and add a little bit more balance to that south elevation. And then this is the east elevation. The east elevation does not face any street frontages, but nevertheless, it will feature that brick band that runs along the base of the building, same metal panels that you see on the north and south sides of the building. There is a window on the east elevation towards the south end, towards Lapham Street. And this is the interior. So this is the north side of the building, the first floor and the second floor. These are all the various storage units, different varieties and sizes and price points within the building. The white areas are the corridors within the building. And these are the window openings that have been added on the north elevation facing the Festival Foods parking lot. They've actually carved out a little bit of the storage units and then created a little vestibule and an airspace here within the building where the window could be placed in the exterior of the building. And then on the staircase on the northeast corner of the building, the window similarly has been added there on the north side of the building. And then a window has been posed on the south elevation of the building facing Lapham. And that window I had just shown you, that proposed window that staff is recommending could be somewhere here. I mean, we were just speculating and maybe lining it up with the one of the interior hallway corridors for some additional lighting down the corridor. And that could be up. The point is that staff's trying to make, we just wanted to get an additional window on the south elevation somewhere. And it does meet our architectural design guidelines. The one point that we were making though, within respect to the guidelines is that there is a little bit of imbalance on the exterior elevation of the south elevation. We appreciate the windows that have been added, this far, but we think just the addition of that one additional window on the south would really sort of tie it all together a little bit better. So our recommendation consists of, recommend approval subject to another set of windows on the south elevation. Yeah. We have architect here this evening representing the ownership. If there are any further questions.
Mayor,
Thank you, Steve. Wayne?
thank you, Steve. In your recommendation, written recommendation, it says to hold.
Where was this?
I think that's item 4.
That was, that was in the original staff report, actually. We said
Okay.
that we had not received the updated plans. We shared a supplemental staff report today with planning commissioners via email and updated our recommendation to approve after we had time to create the staff report from the updated plans.
Thanks, Zach. I do remember getting that now that you said it.
So the recommendation is to approve.
We're recommending approving this, and at the time, when we wrote the staff report, we didn't have all these additional windows, so we're just.
I move approval.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion or any comments from the architect?
I'm the civil engineer on the project, but I believe
I'm
we
sorry.
checked online too. But we did take a look at the recommendations from staff and are willing to add in those extra windows on the south facade. I think we were discussing maybe either doing some faux windows or a display window or sometimes so we can try and keep as much square footage in the building units as possible, but definitely willing to add that in. So, yeah.
Okay.
We can certainly work with your team on
Okay,
solution.
sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you. If there's no other discussion, then everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Drive safe.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Anybody here for item 6?
Entire table full of people.
Patiently waiting.
A whole slew? All right,
So good to get to meet you.
good. All right, I'll turn it over to staff to read out item 6.
All right, thank you. So this is for White and Sam, it's located at 9611 West Greenfield Avenue. They currently operate 3 different stores at 7 Mile Fair in California, Wisconsin. The growth of the business prompted a request for a brick and mortar store at Greenfield Avenue. They're a new jewelry store in that former security glass block building. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Currently, this property is zoned C2, and the use is considered neighborhood retail. This is a permitted use of the zoning district. And because the site change is not mandated, the design guidelines are not mandatory. It's not a significant redevelopment. So as you can see right here at the site plans, engineering and planning are requesting a vacation of the existing curb cut along Greenfield Avenue from the former business that occupied this parcel. This is due to traffic safety concerns. It's currently going right to this existing concrete pad. This is the curb cut we're requesting to be vacated. On the side are 5 parking stalls. You see one in the southwest corner, 3 existing right here, and 1 existing on the north portion of the existing concrete pad. Staff is requesting the southern parking stall be removed due to traffic safety concerns because, as you can see, there are concerns right here when you back up and they back up, pull in, they kind of meet each each other, that's a traffic safety concern. Additionally, there is a refuse enclosure right here existing on the site that's to be unchanged, along with interior staff parking in this garage right here. And the northern parking stall will be moved during the vacation process. Pedestrian access is maintained by that concrete pad existing on the site. And then right here is a non-conforming pole sign that is permitted and it's grandfathered in the old zoning, the old code. However, additional signage on the building will be required to comply with the zoning code, and that means a removal of the existing non-conforming freestanding sign, which will be replaced with a conforming sign. Any changes to the landscaping plan will require landscaping plan submitted to the planning and zoning office. Right here is an existing bush that is landscaping that is being potentially removed by the applicant. Later they can speak on that if they'd like, but staff is just requesting that to comply with the sign review guidelines, we want to emphasize the public realm, so we're requesting small, subtle public amenities, maybe awnings, planters and benches along this concrete pad that's existing in the front of the site. But as I said, any landscaping plans will need to be submitted to the zoning office. For the architectural plan, you'll see the majority of the changes on the north and west facade of the building. On the north facade, that's the front facing along Greenfield Avenue, you're seeing removal of 2 glass block windows. Right here, there was a glass block window along right here. And then there was also an overhead garage door that's being replaced with a knee wall and a standard storefront window to match the proposed 2 windows over here. And then on the west facade, there were 3 garages. You can partially see that in this garage doors. You can partially see this in this photo right here. One of these garage doors is to remain, but 2 of them are being replaced with matching masonry along with the building. And then on the west elevation as well, staff is recommending removal of the glass block windows on the west elevation with standard storefront windows due to this being a high visibility location along Greenfield Avenue. We want to emphasize the visible facades of this site. And there are no changes to the east and south facade. Staff is no concern for those. The floor plan is being more open to public with jewelry displays lining the wall on the east interior, along with new lighting on in the interior. And then the remaining garage will be utilized as employee parking. That is existing. There's a new wall right here separating that from the public space, and there are no changes to the office, restroom, or waiting area on the site. As I said before, the design guidelines are not mandatory for this project. It's a minimal site change, but it does satisfy a lot of criteria, and the investment put in is a net positive for this location along Greenfield Avenue. With that being said, staff is recommending approval for this proposal with a couple different conditions. We're requesting a revised site landscaping plan submitted to the zoning office to indicate the removal of those 2 parking stalls on the south edge of the property and the parking stall on the concrete pad along Greenfield Avenue. We also want to notate on the site plan that the curb cut will be vacated. Additionally, any changes to the landscaping plan, they have to be approved by the city forester, submitted via landscape plan to the planning and zoning office. We also are recommending that the glass block windows in the west facade match the proposed adjacent windows on the front facade, which constitutes removal of those 2 windows. And then additionally a sign plan if there is any additional signage requested. Currently, the applicant intends to just change the sign face of that non-conforming freestanding sign, but any additional signage will require conforming signage. All right, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor,
Yes, Wayne.
question for the applicant. These requirements that are listed here on pages 4 and 5 as opposed to the agenda for tonight, are you in agreement?
I have been in contact with Zach and we did not receive this information regarding the suggested block windows on the side. then that being a suggestion, is it something that we could still proceed with our project and look at in the future? Or is it something that's required?
Zach, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Were you able to hear that,
Sorry,
question about?
I
the-
just jump in. Somebody's not muted and interfering with the audio. Thank you, whoever that was. I think I don't hear it now. Sorry, continue, please.
So Zach, I think the issue is that on the west elevation of the building, there are some glass block windows, and the applicant indicated that they weren't aware that those were on the table to be converted to changed to real glass, like the ones on Greenfield Avenue.
Yeah, that's correct. At the time of the technical review comments that we shared with them, that was not included. That was something that was added towards the end of the review period, right before the staff reports were written. So they're correct. They were not aware of that requirement. Staff did not share that with them.
What did you say?
He said at the time when we, the initial comments did not include the windows on the west elevation that was added at a later point. So that's why the applicants weren't made aware of it. So that being said, I mean, on the west elevation, we're looking at, is that west? It's the west.
Yeah, this is the west elevation right here. This is looking,
It's not facing the street. It's on the side of the building.
Okay. That's what we're looking at down below too. So
yeah, so it'd be right in this location right here. So on Greenfield Avenue, staff recommended this because it is visible, as you can see in that photo right there. That's where that staff recommendation is coming from. And we just wanted it to match the existing proposed windows along the north elevation right here. Excuse me.
So
Okay,
so go ahead, please.
If you look at those windows, maybe 60 or 70% people will not be able to see these windows. Because most of the views on the side, and you come in between 40 miles an hour, and plus you got the building next door, which is the candy store and the salon. They're hard to see those on this.
I think
on this slow down.
it's the angle that they took the picture. It's not when you drive in, you can see those windows, but it's
really hard to see them from your car driving at the speed, and again, 60%, 70% you will not even see them unless you slow down. And you go to the parking lot, of course you can see them. So, and again, these are that today confused.
So Steve, the question remains, maybe it's for Zach, whomever. Is this removal of the block glass windows required?
well, it's what staff, it's what staff is recommending in our staff report. So the question would be, does the Planning Commission feel that's an important aspect to this project, or something that you'd be willing to strike from the staff recommendation?
You're the planning expert.
Sure.
And I'd like to hear from you. Do you think this is important, critical, necessary?
I'm happy there's windows openings there. Glass block isn't always the most preferred style of window, but I understand it's what they've acquired, it's the building they purchased and what they've dealt with. It certainly could be phased in at a future point, if not right away, maybe down the road. So I think from the staff perspective, we'd be willing to work with the new business. It is important, I think, most important along the frontage of Greenfield Avenue, that those are new windows being added, remove the glass block there. And Zach, I don't know, what do you, I guess.
I was just going to say that this is, the windows are, would ideally be, storefront glass on that side as well. But it's not necessarily 100%, the only option. I also see Alderwoman Grisham would like to share a comment as well.
Thanks, Zach. I'll get to that after the commissioners are done. I'll go to the alder people. But I was gonna just mention that that is on Greenfield Avenue. It's a main street. When you're heading eastbound, I guess I haven't looked specifically, but looking at the images on Google Earth and things, it does appear that you can see it from the street, and I guess it's on the commission to determine whether that looks like the vision of what you want our main streets architecture and design to look like.
Mayor Devine, I have a comment.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Eric.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my opinion would be for that item 2A stays in staff recommendations. I perhaps staff can work with the applicant, but I don't think having glass block windows is what I would like to see, right? I mean, we're trying to improve the site landscaping, street appeal. So my opinion would be for item 2A, I would like to see that they have the glass block removed. I would agree with staff recommendation.
We're willing to do this. I just spoke to them and they're just give us some time for those windows as they're not in our budget.
Good.
We will be changing the front windows initially as and within a year.
Yeah,
We would like to then, if you could give us a year, approximately maybe 6 months.
with the approval, you have 2 years.
2 years.
I mean, if that helps, I mean, you could
Yeah.
do the ones you want on Greenfield Avenue first in year 1, and then year 2, come back and do the ones on the side.
There wasn't the Green Avenue be done right away.
Okay.
Right, that's the, that's the queue.
Okay.
So also we spoke to Zach regarding the entry.
Sorry, if I could interrupt you one sec, because I think the Alderwoman is on and she might have had a question or a comment on this
Okay.
piece.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Devine. I just want to note that west wall, if I'm correct, both Alderwoman Keene and I have been working closely with the applicants on this. They have a pretty impressive plan and investment that they're putting in on the property. They've been very nice to work with. If I remember correctly on the tour that Dana and I took, that west wall there is actually going to be like a break room area and a small lobby. I do agree with the applicant that it's almost a thought when you pass it, that wouldn't be as noticeable. Taking to the frontage of the property. So being they've put that investment in, the amount that they have so far, I wouldn't consider that east wall being, or that west wall being that big of an issue. If they want to improve it later on and agree to it, but I could see them using that money in the other areas of the property. You'd really have to pass it. It's set back enough that once you pass Half Nuts, you see a driveway. I didn't even know in all the years I lived here, which is 30 years, that there was a driveway there. So if that makes any sense, and I pass it all the time. So that's one point I want to make to the commissioners and to planning. My biggest concern would be the stalls in the front of the business, and being it was mentioned that, okay, we have 40 miles an hour. Not that that's the speed limit, but Greenfield Avenue is a racetrack. I'd be more concerned with the safety of cars going in and out of there, because most of those businesses, say Badger Lease next door, have a side exit onto a residential street. That would be my biggest concern. How many stalls, the landscaping, frontage. I think you have some of that worked out as far as what the expectations were, but I guess I would want more information on those stalls in the front and the safety of people backing out, because I can't see them backing in safely either. So that's my biggest concern.
So to address that concern, we spoke with the applicants. This front parking stall that's being removed in the vacation process right here, they agreed to that.
And we were just looking for an extension on that within a year. We'd like to do that.
Sure.
If that works,
That's fine.
and we're not planning on using it.
What we would ask for is that, I guess, whatever plan commission agrees upon tonight in terms of the conditions of approval, is that we get a revised plan to show those conditions being, shown on a revised plan, then you would have time to complete those changes.
So you want to draw it with site curve?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
What is the second item? Has to do with the stall?
The first item, I believe, was the parking stall. So the first item is saying we want a revised site landscaping plan to show, noting that the removal of the parking stalls on the that'd be the north edge of the property.
So there's two parking, so
Okay.
there's so on this site plan that was given to us, there's two parking stalls. There's one on this south edge of the property. We requested that to be removed because of the conflicts with these three spaces right here, the trash enclosure, and also the interior employee parking. Along with this is being removed in the vacation process. This is just being reflected in the site plan. We're just going to be requesting an updated site plan as part of the.
What condition is that, Jack, on the Greenfield Avenue part?
That is the.
So the applicant standpoint, you're willing to deal with the removal of glass block and the parking stall
Yes.
within a period of time.
Yes,
I would move approval with those items.
yes, and I'm sorry. And just one more item, and just want to clarify with the sign. We are okay with keeping the sign as is, just replacing the face.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, you're able to do that. It's just if there was any further signage, we would require conformance with the zoning code, but currently you are grandfathered in. Previous zoning code.
If you know, can you go back to the drawing that shows stop right there, right there. You see the door on the bottom? It's a garage door right there, to the left side, right there. That one's gonna break too, it's missing, for some reason, we submitted the latest drawing, so the reason you didn't get it. That one's gonna be a lot, 100% is gonna be similar to it.
We'll send you the updated drawing.
Thanks.
All right, yeah, thank you.
If you could on that revised drawing, to maybe just show the things that are gonna happen in year one, year two.
Sure. All right.
You want to specify the date, and you know.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Sure.
So we have agreement.
Yes.
Can I make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
Thanks,
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room aside from staff? I can't see the whole.
Only Patrick is here.
He's a good man.
He's delighted to hear that.
Then we'll move on to item 7. Boucher Lincoln.
Hey, Mayor, we may have someone here. Do we have anyone on the line from Gordy Boucher? No?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Hi,
Yes,
Chad.
this is Chad Chemnitz with Professional Consultants. I'm representing the Boucher Group for this project.
Thank you. I forgot about our online audience. Apologize.
No problem.
All right. Who's taking up item 7?
I am again.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. So this is located at 3161 South 108th Street. It is for a facade renovations of the existing Gordy Boucher Lincoln building. Additionally, there are electric vehicle charging stations proposed at the site. There are no other changes proposed. The existing zoning of this property is C4. It's the use of the property's light motor vehicle sales. It's an existing conditional use. Nothing is changing or anything. It's just that facade change, and the guidelines aren't mandatory because it's not significant redevelopment. So as you can see in that corner right here, this is facing southeast. This is where the electrical vehicle charging stations will be. That's the only site change proposed. Staff did notice upon a site inspection that there is not a trash enclosure, a four-sided trash enclosure on the site, and currently refuse is not screened on the site. That's our only recommendation for this project. On the architectural plan, you'll see that vertical element that was previously right here with that signage is being removed. And then the material was formerly ACN metal panels along the wall. That's being reclad with porcelain wall cladding. And then right along the strip of the east and north facades is a brown ACN metal panel system. This is to update the design. It's a request by Ford Motor Company. And the only other change to this building is that the brick is being repainted towards the rear of the building.
I'd move approval.
Like I said, this design guidelines are mandatory, and so you gotta.
Second.
Okay, so we've got the recommendations here to approve and then the two conditions. Is there any discussion or are there any questions on the motion or on the screen in front of us?
I'll
Chad, are you-
second.
There was a second.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't remember who it was. I hope.
Mr. Chemnitz, are you okay with the recommendation for approval?
Yes, I've read the conditions and I agree, so I'm good with it.
Very good.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you excuse us?
Not yet. No, we've got some other earlier ones I have to go back to. Well, I guess we've got
Item 9, right?
Yeah, number 9 is a proposed street vacation. Our city engineering department brought this before us. The proposal is to close the crossing of the Union Pacific Railroad at 55th Street. That would be between Grant Street and Mobile Street, the north. Now Mobile Street runs parallel on both sides of the railroad tracks. And even if this crossing is approved and closed by the Common Council through the public notice and vacation process, there are other opportunities for people in the area, whether you're a residential or industrial, commercial neighbor in the area, to cross the tracks, either at Electric Avenue to the east or 57th Street to the west, and then further west, 60th Street. There are other crossings. So it's a nice thing about being in a fully developed city on the grid. You have other options at all times. So this closure, we don't think is going to create a detriment to business or residents in the area. There are other crossing opportunities, as mentioned. The one point about this, why this is coming before us, is that WSDOT, Wisconsin Department of Transportation, is starting a reconstruction project on 60th, from 60th Street to West Lincoln Avenue. And as part of that, the railroad crossing signal equipment can accommodate some of the close spacing of those existing crossings at 55th, 57th, 60th Street. So therefore, we have the option in this case to close the 55th Street rail crossing. And if it's eliminated, WSDOT will improve the adjacent Beloit Road crossing to current standards, including new equipment and doing the grading work and the work on that. So by closing 55th Street, I guess WSDOT sort of, and the railroad sort of like bartering here in this case, that they will, if the city closes 55th, we get the benefit of WSDOT paying for the improvements to the crossing at Beloit Road. And this is an advantage to the city in terms of reduced cost and reduction in ongoing maintenance expense. If the city were to, need to improve the rail crossings, it'd be probably over $100,000. So, I mean, by WSDOT picking that up, does save the city money in terms of just the initial costs as well as ongoing maintenance. Accessibility would still remain for neighbors within the area. This project would go before the Common Council. It's been introduced in the January council meeting. We have Planning Commission this evening, and then the next opportunity would be the public hearing March 21st before the council. And if anyone objects, I mean, people in the area may object. I don't think the railroad's going to object, but it's one less crossing of their tracks for them. But if neighbors were to object to this at the public hearing or at any point, it would take a 2/3 vote of the common council to approve the discontinuance of this portion of 55th Street.
So Steve, how would they close that then? Would there be curbs?
It would, let me go back, let me go back a couple. They would basically be kind of this, probably, yeah, curb with probably green space, like grass added on each side of the tracks within the railroad right of way.
Okay.
Sort of just similar to the, the rest of it here is this part of the pavement would be removed and replaced with grass, and then it'd be a curb that would extend across each side of Mobile Street to prevent, a car from crossing.
Okay.
Pointing at the wrong crossing here, 55th.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions? Does this need a motion?
And move approval.
Yes.
It has a motion. All
I'll
right.
second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. And then we have an information item, a discussion item on number 10.
Thanks. We have anyone from Duncan on the line? Ravi? Or
I see Ravi's on.
okay.
Mario.
Hey, how are you guys?
Mario's too. Hi, guys.
Mario Valentini, MRV Architects.
Mario. This item is it's one that we've been working on for a little while with Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts has purchased the properties at 7801 West Greenfield Avenue. And I believe also the small 40 by 120 lot just to the south. And this will be for discussion purposes only tonight. We're going to be coming back to the Planning Commission next month. We anticipate with an updated set of plans, but there was quite a bit of just design in terms of site design on this site of how to best place the new Dunkin' Donuts store and their proposed drive-through. We're working within our design guidelines, and our design guidelines strongly advocated against any curb cuts onto Greenfield Avenue, and instead all access off of South 78th Street. So this is as indicated in the PowerPoint presentation here, this property is zoned commercial C2, and we're dealing with a clean slate here. It used to be a former auto body and car sales lot. It was cleared a number of years ago, and Robbie and his team have purchased the property, and they're looking to put in a Dunkin' franchise along with a another smaller restaurant or other tenant space offering on the property. This will be a conditional use, and we'll get into more specifics on the actual design of the building in the coming month. But in terms of the design guidelines, just sort of indicating here that we're just drive-throughs and driveways, just trying to get those sort of situated off the main Greenfield Avenue streets and just all access coming in off the side streets. Just sort of going through the initial proposal, but basically showing some of the buildings up close to the street frontage with the drive-through access coming in off of Greenfield Avenue, wrapping around the building and coming back out onto Greenfield. Our engineering department planning had a number of concerns with this, with the access points onto Greenfield Avenue being so close to the intersection of 78th Street. So with that, the Duncan team came back with another iteration. Again, in this case, moving the building over to the northwest portion of the property, with parking on the east side of the property, access off of Greenfield as well as 78th Street. Again, concerns with proximity to the intersection of 78th. And just through the process, just some other, there's been a lot of effort, by the Duncan team here to make something work, and we really appreciate working with them and their patience. But I think we've come to a point in terms of revision 3 here, we're ready to bring something before the city's planning commission next month. This one shows no access onto Greenfield Avenue, which is up here. The building addressing the street frontage, patios on each side for each tenant space, the Dunkin' space being on the corner, and then a future tenant space over here, potentially a patio on the west side. And then all access coming in off of 78th Street on the south here, and staging the queue area for the drive-through up to the back side of the Dunkin' building, and exiting onto 78th Street. This is acceptable and what we are striving for within our design review guidelines. And we're supportive of this site plan version, and we're excited to bring it back to you in the coming month for review and comment. You'll also be seeing building elevations, floor plans, and the typical submittal in addition to this site plan. But we just wanted to get this before Planning Commission to see if there were any additional directives that we think we should give Dunkin' Donuts in advance of an upcoming Planning Commission in the coming month. But staff will continue to work with Robbie and his team on bringing it back to you for review and comment approval. Robbie, anything you would wish to add?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm glad we finally, got to a layout that we can all live with, and we got patio seating. I think it's going to look fantastic on this corner with the two tenants. Obviously, Dunkin' will be first, and we may modify. This isn't the final set, but it's going to be. We may modify the size of the building. It may actually be too big for what we typically build out nowadays. For the Dunkin' space. So just besides the size of that, which isn't really going to affect anything else. Other than that, I mean, I think we're pretty happy. We're able to convince Dunkin' corporate on this, and I think it's a win-win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mario, anything to add?
The only thing I would add is, yes, this site plan does not represent the additional 40 feet of space south of this property. I would, we're going to get to a point where we're going to get through a process here architecturally. We won't have a chance to do any preliminary engineering, but the understanding is obviously we're going to want to have some sort of stormwater management practices in place. The nice thing about this is there is a good or fair amount of green space, which will hopefully mitigate a lot of the need for stormwater detention or whatnot. I would just hope that right now we can work through some of this and still keep some of that potential area south of this property usable for things like stormwater detention if needed, or offset of impervious versus pervious escaping there. So I think we just want to be as flexible as we possibly can. Ultimately, if we do need some of that additional space, literally all we would be doing is moving the parking spaces that are vertically north and south. We would just be moving them south a little further, which would also move the southernmost apron a little further south. But again, it's literally just to create more parking or potential stormwater collection areas. The basic parameters or whatever you're seeing here in this configuration, the geometrical configuration and the flow of cars and pedestrians would ultimately stay the same. So, but I would like, Robbie and I talked about this. Ultimately, we want to have some flexibility when it comes time to produce civil engineering drawings, to have, some ability to mitigate costs for underground detention or other means of detention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Rob.
So can we go back to that first drawing? The first concept? So this looks really similar, except that the exit is not in this upper northeast corner, but it looks similar to the Dunkin' on 76 and Howard. So what's working at that Dunkin' Donut that, or what's not working, so we can compare this one with the other one?
Oh, on this version, Ross, yeah, we wanted to eliminate our design guidelines advocate against these curb cuts or driveways that you see onto Greenfield Avenue. They have one on each side of the building. So there's one on the west side, and another exit, the driveway exit, exiting onto Greenfield Avenue on the east side of the building. And this is very close. So 78th Street is literally right here. I don't know if you can see the cursor or not. So this driveway exit, people could exit this drive at the intersection of 78th and Greenfield Avenue, turn left or right. At the same time, you could have a car wanting to do the same thing, literally probably less than 30 feet away on 78th Street. So that creates a safety conflict from a traffic engineering standpoint that we're advising against on this version plan.
Right. So the one on 76 and Howard, the drive-through actually wraps around the Dunkin' Donut, and then they utilize the entrance coming in. So like in this concept, instead of exiting right there at that northeast corner, the drive-through would wrap around the Dunkin' and then go back towards the west and then exit right on. I'm not sure what street that is, if that's Greenfield up there.
Oh yeah, Greenfield.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's certainly a design option. I'm sure that was explored, but it's also something that we're trying to avoid as well, with the kind of like the shark circling the boat kind of thing. You know, with the in this case cars in the drive-through circling the building, where you have just a paved surface, literally circling the building, and then coming back out in a green field. So we're strongly advocating against any, was our engineering strongly advocating against any driveway entrance or exit on the Greenfield Avenue. In fact, the Robbie and his team went to Dunkin' Corporate to see if corporate Dunkin', would support no driveways on Greenfield Avenue, and the answer was sure, they would support it. So that's sort of where we ended up. I mean, there was some concern, from Dunkin' from Robbie, that Dunkin' Donuts corporate wouldn't support this design option with on 78th, in and out on 78th. But it turns out that they were very supportive and willing to accept this third version.
If you go back one version, like the revision number 2, I think it was. So if you look at the driveway here, the drive-through, the Dunkin' building is kind of on an angle, and the drive-through window sits on the back of the building. And generally, just me even presenting this idea initially, they came back to me saying, "What are you talking about? We never put a drive-through window on the back of a building. It's always on the pretty much revision 1 or the initial one where Mario had it drawn with the window on the side of the building, if you see there, or the drive-through lane wraps all the way around." So we were hesitant, but based on the very last conversation we had, they did allow us to put that window, as you can see in revision 3, on the back, although it's not on an angle, it's like a straight shot, and then it's an exit only on that driveway. But typically they don't. If you see I think the location that you mentioned on 76th and Cold Spring, that's also one of ours. That lot is laid out a little bit differently. It is on the hard corner, and we do have, I did mention that site too, but this one's I guess a little bit different. And also obviously every municipality has different rules or guidelines on how they want a drive-through laid out. Anyway, this is the pretty much best alternative we could come up with that has a nice drive-through stack, where even if there's a ton of cars in the drive-through, although we like to move cars in and out quickly, even if there was a ton of traffic coming in, there's plenty of cars that can fit from the window all the way to the speaker and even into the parking lot. And I don't see us ever backing up into 78th Street over here. Although if we did, it'd be a good problem. But we have plenty of space in the parking lot there and a ton of parking. So I think we should be good.
Rossi, I think this is a example of how we want to kind of activate the the front side of our streets, like Greenfield Avenue, our main streets, and keep those that kind of more urban and active feel there. And this is a really great example of this plan you're seeing right now, the third revision here, where we've got the outdoor dining out there and we have the buildings close to the street. And then we're with the guidelines and working with Robbie and his team, and we're able to kind of allow that drive through there so their business can work. But kind of keep that a little bit separate from that, from the active corridor we want. So I think this is a really good example of the guidelines working and, a good collaboration with Robbie and his team here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like it. The design is really pretty. I was just wondering what the difference was between the one on 76 and Cold Spring, because like he mentioned, it's still on that hard corner, but I definitely agree with that busy intersection right there, because I love Duncan, and I typically go through that one, and I come out on 76th Street, so I know what you mean about the traffic and the flow there.
Yeah, and fortunately, we've never had any issues, incidents, anything like that with anyone coming in or going out, and that's why we were trying to kind of push to keep that access off of Greenfield. But this lot here is more narrow in the front, and it's deeper. So it's a little bit different of a layout, like I said, than the Greenfield one, which that property itself was different shape, and we were able to make it work over there. But yeah, we can live with this for sure. We just hope that between the two tenants, it brings in enough traffic. And also probably one of the reasons you go to that one on Greenfield is because of the access. Like it's easier to you can get in on 76, or you can get in on a Cold Spring, and then you can get out whichever way you like. You have options as a consumer. We're here, people are going to have to adapt and learn how to get into this and how to get out and where they're going. So hopefully it works out for the best. I mean, it's actually, like I said, one of the larger investments we're going to be making in any recent, like at least in the last 10 years I've been doing this, where we don't have access on the main street. So this is the first time we're trying this, and I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. And the other one has the double drive-through lanes, which I love because I go in and out quickly. So I appreciate the double lanes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did that over here too. And we made that second lane that you see over there is like a bypass lane, although we will try to make it so that almost very similar to the one in Greenfield on 76th and Cold Spring, where if you have a mobile order, let's just say, like, for all of our regular customers, like to order in advance, you pretty much can, quote unquote, cut the line and move closer to the window so you're not waiting behind everybody else. Because your order's already been placed, it's probably already ready, and it will, get you in and out faster. That's the goal.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Absolutely.
If there are no other questions, then.
Well, I just have one more thing.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So like I said, we're gonna work as close and diligently as we can to make the next to have an application for the March Plan Commission meeting. However, again, talking about that additional property at the March Plan Commission meeting, if the site plan is hopefully approved, how much flexibility do we have when we actually come to the creation of construction drawings that we can tweak the geometry slightly to be able to utilize that additional piece for either stretching of the current plan or potentially stormwater management items? I mean, do we have to be exact when we come in for construction drawings, or is there some leeway and flexibility?
You be able to show like a provision with maybe the additional area you might need, maybe just a option 1, option 2 provision or something along that line that would give the Plan Commission to look at it at each one,
Yes.
Scenario 1, scenario 2, and
Yes, we can do that. I'm gonna release or start releasing consultants to start putting things together like landscape drawings and photometrics, right? But they'll all be geared towards the latest site plan that you had seen. However, if there's no major financial implication to stretching the use of the lot further south, then we'll show that also. And we'll say, obviously, we'll have things like the photometric adjusted at the set of construction drawings, or the landscaping adjusted for the submittal of construction drawings. They just won't be two full options, with everything
Okay.
fully developed for both site plans, if that makes any sense.
I think the idea is just to get us, you give us your best proposal, and then, with small little tweaks like photometrics and stormwater management plans and stuff like that, I think you're gonna have to probably likely do some kind of technical memo just to sort of show us, the pervious and impervious calculations and whether or not it rises to the level of, full-blown stormwater management anyway. So I mean, I think
Right.
those things we can work through as we go after plan commission.
Okay, that's exactly what I meant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Anything
you
else
all.
on item 10? All right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys in a month.
We do have item 2, which we skipped and never went back to.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
we
everybody.
did.
Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you caught that because I would have rolled right through it. Let's go back to item 2A and 2B. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Dunham Transmissions at the corner of Beloit and just west of 60th Street. They are proposing a indoor auto sales for, they will still remain Dunham Transmissions. They'll still continue to offer auto repair, transmission repair services like they have for decades. What they'd like to do, though, is I believe they do receive cars from time to time that are the customer probably walks away from or doesn't use any longer. So they would like to be able to fix those cars up and sell them. It would be up to 5 vehicles. It would all be completely within the building, not outside. This property is zoned I-1, light industrial. And that the zoning, if it's indoor vehicles, it is allowed as a conditional use. You don't need to go through the 20% landscaping requirement or the 1 acre minimum requirement for the lot size. So if it's truly indoor, which Transmission has indicated in their application for up to 5 cars, then it still goes through a conditional use process, but it can be approved. So we do still conduct a site review of the property. And there are no proposed site landscaping changes in this case. There's no exterior building changes. They have 2 existing garage doors in the building, storefront windows along Beloit Road. What they're showing us in their application is that this is the area where they would be selling cars from within their building. That's sort of within this highlighted area here, which consists of about 100 feet long, lengthwise north to south, and then about 24 or 5 feet deep east to west. And that in the front portion of the building where they would be potentially selling cars when they get them. Again, all completely within the building. In terms of design review guidelines, there are no site changes. This is an existing transmission use. All they're doing is just to be, there's cars in the building now, they're going to repair. And when they do receive cars that maybe a customer longer doesn't want to fix or it's too expensive to fix, put a new transmission in. The Dunham Transmission could fix the car up and get it ready to sell, and they could sell it from this location. So I believe that's how this would work. And we're recommending approval subject to county council review before a public hearing. And then there's a 4-sided enclosure, refuse enclosure that we were recommending. They're agreeable to that. And then removal of I think it's an old signpost on the front of the building, which may have already been removed, but it was still there when we last checked. So they're agreeable.
Do they have any landscaping requirements on that property?
Now, they certainly could. I mean, we're not recommending anything additional. But if they were, I mean, in the case of like I guess selling cars outside the building, we would certainly require landscaping, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. If Plan Commission wants to see some landscaping on the site, whether it's here on the corner or somewhere along Beloit Road, I mean, that's certainly within the wheelhouse of a recommendation that Plan Commission could recommend.
I just am thinking, I'm just looking at this photo and I haven't driven past there to pay total attention, but it's on two main streets or very close to a main intersection.
Mhm.
And it just seems a little barren.
What?
Yeah,
Maybe. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, Mayor Devine, I agree with you. I would be of the opinion too, to just see some landscaping just to kind of improve the site a bit. And then I just had like another kind of question. So let's just hypothetically say business is doing great and Dunham Transmission, they use up all their indoor space for selling cars, and all of a sudden we're starting to see cars, maybe perhaps long-term storage on the outside of the building. What type of safeguards are in place, or if somebody would notice that, right? Like cars are now being sold outside, I guess what steps could be taken to notify the property owner that
It would, I mean, there would be the typical code enforcement process of notifying them that they're in violation of a conditional use. And then if they didn't respond to that, or if they continue to, have an issue with cars, being sold outside the building, the council could conduct a special hearing to revoke their conditional use.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I would just like to say that if Planning Commission would like to recommend adding some sort of landscaping element to this, that could be added in a motion for approval.
And I don't want to add a lot of expense, but I just think if there were a couple, planters out along the street there, I don't think they would interfere too much with vehicles.
Yeah, it's certainly feasible, and we could work with the applicant to get some sort of vision for hopefully in time for the Common Council public hearing that's scheduled.
I'm sorry, it's Brian. I
Yeah.
see bushes on the other side with that building. Like on Google, no, it's straight across the street to the
Oh, here,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Put something like that in there. Perfect. I think something small, just like Dan says, something small, break it up, make it look a little bit nicer.
Something simple.
I'd move for approval if you had that in there.
Okay, we can add that to our.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, and all in favor of the motion with the amendment or the addition, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. And then we can go back to item 11, the comp plan.
Yeah, so we updated our zoning ordinance. We have a new set of design guidelines, and we want to revisit our comprehensive plan. The last update was done in 2020. At the time, we didn't have a full set of census data, and we despite the census data, I mean, we did mention to the Planning Commission and Council that we wanted to do more routine updates to the comp plan. It is a document that we like to stay on top of as things change in the city, land uses, new developments, new opportunities. We want to stay on top of our comprehensive planning efforts and continue to look at the horizon, the future, what's trending, what's not, what's working, what's not. And so what we're embarking upon, and we'll be discussing this. We want to just share it with Planning Commission, but at the next Common Council meeting, we're just going to broach this topic and introduce the topic to our Common Council Economic Development Committee. seek their directive to proceed with another endeavor to update our comprehensive plan from 2040 comp plan to the 2045 plan. And I think it, like we did with our zoning ordinance and design guidelines, we want to make it a very, branded document and a little bit more simplified document. One of our applicants said earlier tonight in his review of the 200-some pages of the comp plan, I mean, it's a thick document and it's a bit wordy. It's important to describe things in detail and flesh things out as best possible, but I think there's an opportunity here to simplify the document as well and just get to the point and readdress some of those opportunity areas that as we do within the redevelopment chapter of our comp plan. Now we have 27 different areas throughout the city where we've addressed opportunities to work on things, and we've got a land use section. There's some updates that could be made, I think, just to sort of on the document a little bit further and just keep it fresh and evolving, just like West Dallas. Jack, I don't know if you have anything else. I guess this slide here just shows.
Yeah, this is just well, we're in the pre-kickoff stage right now, doing a lot of internal work, making sure that what we have will reach out to residents, and that's for the engagement portion of this process. And we really want to be ahead of things. So right now in SAC drafted up a survey, which is going to go live in March. After we introduce the common council, they have a bit of a discussion and of our engagement strategies. So essentially, we're just going to ask a lot of open questions to gauge the opinions of different residents and really get a sense of what residents view West Dallas, what needs to be changed, and then what 2045 could look like for West Dallas residents.
Okay, then go on to the next item if there's no questions.
Lastly, just some projects, tracking updates. Taco John's is nearing, it is finished on the outside. There were some things on the exterior. The Plan Commission recommended on the northeast elevation of the building that some of the design treatments, some of the added color tiles be a little bit more vibrant on the east and northeast sides of the building. Well, I think the contractor got the plans upside down or backwards or something. So we're working with Taco John's to correct that, the color of the tiles and get those fixed on the north and the east elevations of the building. And that we've been assured from the contractor that it'll be done as weather improves. And then in terms of January Plan Commission items that we have scheduled for upcoming hearings, we have a street vacation, 92nd in Cleveland, that was before Plan Commission last month. That's going to council on March 7th. Then Helium Yoga within the Sona Lofts building. That's coming before council. And then also Chase Bank on Highway 100 in Cleveland Avenue. That's in the site of the old Boston Market. They're going to be retrofitting that building and updating it for a Chase Bank. Those will come before early March public hearings, and then February meeting. Our Plan Commission items that are going to be before March council are, well, maybe not the rezoning, but Dunham Auto Sales and Fire Cycle Fitness. So with respect to the Mitchell Street thing, we'll confer with our city attorney. And if need be, we may need to cancel that public hearing on March 7th for the Mitchell Street rezoning. And then last, on the March 21st council hearings, we have that right-of-way vacation that we discussed tonight, the crossing of the Union Pacific Railroad at 55th. That'll be on the March 21st council agenda. Thank you.
Thanks very much. If there are no questions, then we will just ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Devine, I just had one quick item for staff.
Sure.
Steve, for the March Plan Commission, is it possible to get just kind of a tutorial overview of that of the OpenGov permitting and application workflow platform? I know I mentioned it like when we met in January.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you very much. That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, Somebody beat Wayne.
Yeah.
Second,
I was just waiting for Eric to stop talking. And then
We have a motion and a second by Rossi. Is no, we don't discuss that. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, guys.
All right, thanks for enduring, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.